They called him the Shadow, not because he lurked in darkness, but because he could slip through a crowd like a ghost, quoting old detective novels while closing in on fugitives across 5 states. Ryan Caldwell could recite lines from Raymond Chandler while cuffing a suspect at point-blank range. What the wanted alerts never mentioned was that he was heading back to Oakwood, Illinois, for the first time in 7 years back to clear his name with the one woman who'd always trusted him. The woman is now married to the police chief. On Thanksgiving Eve 2023, as the autumn leaves swirled like forgotten secrets and the town square bells chimed empty under the harvest moon, Ryan Caldwell walked into that packed community center. His sharp green eyes locked onto her in the front row, Sarah Bennett, stunning as ever in her navy sweater dress, her wedding band glinting like a silent shackle. She glanced up, saw him, and in that instant, everything they'd buried alive clawed its way back to the surface. What happens when old flames refuse to die? Buckle up, this ride's about to get bumpy. Everyone in Oakwood said David and Sarah Lawson had the picture-perfect marriage. That's what they whispered at the diner, the bar, the weekend farmers market. Police Chief David Lawson, 48, with salt and pepper hair and a reputation for cleaning up the opioid mess in their fading factory town. His wife, Sarah, 32, a former city girl with a degree from Chicago, daughter of the late mill owner Jack Bennett, who'd left more loans than legacy. David had settled those debts the day after their wedding every last penny. Sarah taught history at the local high school, ran the community book club, visited shut-ins, and kept a spotless home with granite counters and fresh pies cooling on the sill. Her husband provided a split level on Elm Street, online ordered outfits, and even subscriptions to streaming services. But if you paid attention, you'd catch how Sarah's laugh never hid her eyes, how she'd linger by the window at dusk watching the Amtrak fade toward the horizon, how David would grip her arm just firm enough when another guy chatted too long. A wife's place is with her family, not chasing fantasies, David would say, and Sarah would nod, playing the devoted spouse she'd trained herself to be. The thing about Gilded Cages is the bird inside still dreams of open skies. David meant well. He'd lost his first wife to cancer down in Texas, watching her fade while he chased drug rings. When he met Sarah Young, alone, desperate to honor her dad's memory, saw a shot at protecting someone. He just never asked if she wanted the shield. For days before Thanksgiving, David announced a trip to Springfield for state business scheme meetings with the Attorney General. He'd be gone through the holiday weekend. "You'll manage fine," he told Sarah, pecking her forehead like a dad. "Mrs. Jenkins next door will check in." Sarah smiled, waved from the porch as his SUV vanished down the leaf-strewn road. She had no clue that 300 miles away, a man she'd once loved was staring at an email that would upend everything. No clue Ryan Caldwell had uncovered proof to exonerate himself. No clue he was already en route. The Thanksgiving Eve potluck was standing room only, families crammed in folding chairs, kids squirming in holiday sweaters, guys ditching ball caps as Pastor Caldwell Ryan's dad stepped to the mic. Sarah sat front and center, her navy dress feeling too snug, the room too stuffy. She fanned herself with a program, trying to tune into the talk on gratitude and fresh starts. That's when she spotted him, a figure in the back, half hidden by coats and pie tables. Tall, muscled, bald cap low but not low enough to mask those piercing green eyes that had starred in her nightmares for 7 years. Her breath hitched. The program fluttered to the floor. Ryan Caldwell, alive here. He looked tougher, more chiseled, with creases around his eyes and a faint scar slicing from temple to cheekbone, pale against his stubbled jaw. But those eyes, were unchanged. Memories flooded her. Lazy summers by the creek at 16, his fingers in her hair at 18, the night before he fled, backed against the garage wall, vowing eternity under the stars. "I'll return for you, Sarah," he murmured against her mouth, "as soon as I prove I'm innocent." That was 7 years ago, 7 years of radio silence, wondering if he was dead or jailed, learning to be David Lawson's wife instead of Ryan Caldwell's love. Now he was back, and Sarah's fragile world spun off its axis. Their gazes met across the bustling hall. He tipped his cap subtly a hello, a query, a vow. Sarah's hand flew to her neck, her ring feeling like a chokehold. When she looked again, he was gone poof, like vapor, like a fall phantom, like every dream she'd surrendered. But deep down, she knew, Ryan Caldwell was home. The old Caldwell farmhouse sat vacant on the town's outskirts, weathered like old regrets. Sarah shouldn't have gone shoal and have loaded her SUV with charity baskets for needy families that pre-dawn morning. But she did. He was there, leaning on the porch rail like time had paused. 7 years dissolved like frost and sunlight. "Hello, Sarah." His voice was gravelly now, edged with gritted scent chills unrelated to the November chill. "Ryan." She stepped out, knees wobbly. "I thought you were gone for good." Everyone said plenty. He rose, and she saw the changes. Broader shoulders from years on the run, a holstered pistol at his HEPA, private eyes gear. Most of it is bullshit. She wanted to rush him, wrap herself in those arms like the girl she'd been. Instead, she froze by her car, recalling her vows, David's faith, the life pieced from heartbreak. "Why now?" she whispered. Ryan pulled a USB drive from his jacket, Movement's Precisia survivor who'd learned to outthink threats. "Because I tracked down the real killer of Mike Reynolds." The name slammed her like a gut punch. Mike Reynolds, the factory exec found shot in his office 7 years back, the murder pinned on Ryan, forcing him to bolt before a mob's justice. "I've chased leads across 5 states, Ryan went on. "And I uncovered more, a bigger scam than just homicide." He handed her the drive. Their fingers grazed, and time imploded. Bank logs, emails, and memos with corporate stamps. "Mike stumbled on a fraud ring," Ryan explained, stepping nearer close enough for her to smell leather. "Aftershave him. Execs in 3 counties siphoning funds, bribing officials." Mike planned to blow the whistle. Sarah's hands shook, scanning names she knew, some that nauseated her. "So they offered him," she breathed. "And framed me." Ryan's jaw clenched. Figured a cop's kid gone rogue would distract everyone. She met his gaze, seeing the burden he bore, the toll of 7 years evading, hardening beyond the boy she'd adored. "I'm sorry," she murmured. "I should have trusted you. Known you couldn't, you did know." His hand cupped her face tenderly. "You're the only one who never wavered. That's why I'm here." The air crackled, perilous. 7 years of yearning boiled down to this. "We can't," she said, leaning in despite herself. "I know." But he lingered. 2 days later, David was still in Springfield, and the Elm Street house felt like a mausoleum, echoes and shadows and ghosts. Sarah couldn't shake Ryan's files, the familiar names. That night, she acted. David stashed official docs in a locked safe in his study department stuff. He called it. None of her concern. Tonight it was. The combo was hidden in their bedroom drawer. She found it years ago, cleaning, tucked it away with other quiet defiances. The safe clicked open softly. Inside, reports, emails, a thick folder labeled Reynolds case closed. Her fingers trembled flipping it. David's notes, witness statements, forensics, and clipped to the end, a list of suspects he'd been ordered to ignore. The same names from Ryan's drive. Looking for something? Sarah whirled, pulse racing. Ryan stood in the doorway, leaves on his boots. "How did you back door unlock?" He entered, shutting it quietly. "Risky, Sarah. Anyone could stroll in." A faint smirk. "Like you, I'm not just anyone." He neared, and Sarah felt the isolation keenly, how the lamplight shadowed his rugged face, making him seem the hardened man he'd become. How her robe felt flimsy, exposed. "Find anything?" He nodded at the desk. "David," he probed, but got shut down. Her voice hushed. "He's clean, Ryan." Relief washed Ryan's face. "Thank God. Couldn't stomach if you'd wed a crook." Sarah finished. "No, David's got flaws, but corruption ain't one." Ryan reached for the folder, body brushing hers, his scent dizzying. "Soap, leather, crisp air. His arm pinned her lightly against the desk. Breath failed her. "You should leave," she whispered. "If David returns early, not tonight." His free hand wove into her loose hair. "Sarah!" She turned, pressing flush to his chest, his heartbeat matching her frenzy. This was insanity, but she'd gone mad without him. Time froze. 7 years of what-ifs distilled here. Sarah trapped between Ryan's solid frame and her husband's desk, his thumb igniting trails on her skin. "Ryan," she whispered on a stop. His other hand gripped her waist, fingers mapping curves under silk. She felt his callous as marks of survival, tougher than the soft guy she'd known. "You're scarred," she murmured, tracing a ridge on his shoulder. "Heal." His hold tightened, drawing her in. Everything mends with time. Faces inches apart, Sarah saw flecks in his green eyes, felt his warm breath. "One tilt, one yield. I'm married," she tore out. "I know." His forehead met hers. He shook. "God, I know." But knowledge and desire diverged always had with Ryan Caldwell. Her hands climbed his chest, over his shoulders, into his hair. He groaned, raw need piercing her. 7 years, he rasped. 7 years dreaming this. His lips hovered. Then noise shattered the night engines. Multiple vehicles roaring up Elm. They sprang apart. Sarah's hand was at her throat. Through blinds. Headlights sweeping. Shadows converging. "Hide," she hissed. But Ryan drew his gun, fluid Lia pros grace. "State troopers," he growled, peeking. "Someone spotted me entering." Panic gripped Sarah. "Basement There's is storm cellar off the kitchen. They won't check." Ryan shook his head. "If they find me, it ruins you. I won't drag your name through mud." Vehicles closer, voices barking, boots on the porch. Ryan framed her face. "Whatever happens, you never saw me. Promise." "I can't promise." Fierce, desperate. Pounding shook the door any second. It'd splinter. "I promise," she breathed. Ryan kissed her brow, swift, soft. "Goodbye." Then he vanished out back into the chill. "Mrs. Lawson, apologies for the late hour." Agent Robert Klein stood there, badge flashing, eyes steely. Behind, 8 armed officers in the frost. "Hunting a fugitive. Ryan Caldwell. You recall him from before your marriage." Sarah clutched her robe, voice steadying. "Ryan Caldwell? But isn't he locked up?" "Very free, ma'am. And deadly." Klein scanned inside. "Mind if we search?" "Tip off he's nearby." No choice. Though why here? But she knew. Town gossip about her and Ryan's old romance lingered post-wedding. Agents fanned out like predators, flipping cushions, checking closets, scouring rooms. Sarah trailed, heart pounding, bracing for a yell of discovery. It didn't come. "Fresh coffee," one noted, eyeing the pot. "Couldn't sleep," Sarah shot back. "Brewed, to calm nerves." Klein eyed her under the light. "You look rattled for an innocent woman." 8 armed men invading my home at midnight does that." Klein smiled, chilled. "Ryan Caldwell's wanted for murder, Mrs. Lawson. Murder and fraud. Aiding him? Accessory life sentence." Threat hung heavy. Sarah chin lifted, channeling poise from teaching rowdy teens. "Lucky I haven't seen him then." They departed after 30 minutes, but Klein left 2 guards for safety. Sarah waited till their lights faded, then sank into a chair, trembling. Ryan was out there, hunted like a dog, armed only with proof of his innocence, proof that threatened powerful men. Those names in David's files. County execs, corporate bigwigs, men who could order a manhunt to bury their secrets. Ryan faced them alone, with just his wits and 7 years of scars unless she acted. The thought chilled her, but as Sarah sat in her perfect house, living the perfect life David had built, she realized she was done playing perfect. Dawn broke sharply and coldly. Sarah dressed deliberately her green wool dress, the one that matched her eyes. If she were torching her reputation, she'd look damn good doing it. The old Caldwell barn stood half-hidden by oaks at the town's edge. The tailing cops kept their distance, as expected let them think she was delivering Thanksgiving leftovers. No law against charity. She found Ryan in the barn, checking his sleek black motorcycle, looking like he hadn't slept. "You shouldn't be here," he said, voice low. "Neither should you." She set down her basket, pulling out clothes, bandages, and crucially printed copies of David's files, transcribed before Klein's raid. Ryan stared, something shifting in his face. "Sarah, this could topple half the state's elite." "Yeah, I know." Her tone was flat, like discussing rain. "They locked me up for this." "I'm aware." He strode to her, grabbing her hands. "Then why?" Sarah looked at him, the man who'd shaped her heart before she understood hearts. She saw the boy she'd loved, the stranger he'd become, and knew they were one. "Because 7 years ago, I was 22 and scared. I let them chase you off without a fight. I won't do that again." Her voice hardened. Something flared in Ryan's eyes, hope, maybe, or fire. "Sarah," she cut him off. "I emailed Springfield last night, state AG, not Klein's cronies. They'll hit town by New Year's." Ryan paled. "You don't get if these guys will kill to protect their scam. Then we'd better move fast." Sarah paced, mind racing, years of managing David's home, now fueling a sharper purpose. "Tomorrow's the town hall New Year's Eve bash at the center. The whole town will be there." "Sarah, what are you planning?" She faced him, and Ryan saw a fierceness he'd missed before. Jack Bennett's daughter had inherited more than debts. It's time Oakwood heard the truth. "But I need you, Ryan. No running this time." The community center was packed on New Year's Eve 2023, every chair filled, kids in sparkly hats, lanterns glowing like fireflies. Sarah sat up front, hands clasped like the ideal chief's wife, heart hammering. She kept eyeing the side, door would Ryan show, or was this too crazy, too dangerous? Pastor Caldwell took the stage, Ryan's dad, unaware his son was near. "Friends, tonight we celebrate a New Year's hope, but first we face past wrongs." Sarah's cue. She stood, dress rustling in the hush. "Pastor Caldwell's right," she called, voice clear. "There are lies to set straight." Murmurs spread. Mrs. Jenkins gasped. Agent Klein, in the back, sat up. "Sarah," the pastor began, but she marched forward chin high. 7 years ago, we swallowed a lie that Ryan Caldwell killed Mike Reynolds cold-blooded. We bought it because it was easier than digging, safer than challenging power. The side door creaked. Ryan stepped in, and 400 people gasped. He looked lethal and magnetic, tall, dark, pistol at his hip, green eyes sweeping for threats. "Ryan didn't kill anyone," Sarah pressed, voice rising. "Mike died because he uncovered a fraud ring bleeding 3 counties dry, execs and officials stealing from us." Klein surged up, hand on his holster. "Mrs. Lawson, sit down. You're unhinged." "No." Ryan's voice sliced through. He stepped into the light, and Oakwood saw him anew, not the kid they damned, but the man he'd forged. "Let her speak." Klein's men shifted, hands twitching to guns, but Ryan was quicker, pistol drawn, steady on Klein. "Easy, fellas," he said coolly. "This is a community event. Show respect." Sarah held up her papers. "These prove it. Bank records, emails, memos. Mike found them, and they killed him for it." "Enough." Klein drew, but the room exploded, shouts, screams, kids crying. Ryan's gun cracked. Klein spun, hit in the arm, his weapon skidding unfired. "He'll live," Ryan called. "For trial." Klein's men froze, hands raised, unwilling to face the man they'd hunted. "Now," Ryan said, gun steady, "who wants to hear how you've been robbed blind for years?" It took 90 minutes to lay it out: names, dates, stolen millions from taxes, schools, the factory. Gasps turned to fury. When Sarah finished, Pastor Caldwell stood. "My son's been cleared. This town owes him." Ryan holstered his gun, facing the crowd that once condemned him. "I don't need apologies. Just justice." The Amtrak whistle cut the Illinois dawn as Sarah Bennett Caldwell again stood on the platform, suitcase in hand, heart light. The fraud trials took 4 months. 10 indicted, 7 convicted, and millions returned to Oakwood. Klein faced 15 years for conspiracy. David took the truth rough but fair. Back from Springfield to a town in chaos, he listened in their living room, silent. "I caged you, Sarah," he said at last. "Thought I was protecting you. That wasn't lovey, it was control. The divorce was clean, kind. David kept the house, his badge. The town needed him, and he was a decent man who'd lost his way. Sarah took her dad's watch, her mom's earrings, and her freedom. Ryan, cleared, was offered a U.S. Marshal gig. He took it, picking his own cases, his own path. They were headed to Oregon, now Sarah to teach, Ryan to serve, where the Pacific promised endless horizons. "Ready?" Ryan asked, taking her hand as the conductor called. Sarah glanced back at Oakwood, the life she'd shed, then at the man beside her, scarred, not broken, still quoting noir with a grin. Been ready for 7 years. They've boarded westbound, leaving ghosts for dreams, proving the heartland still offered second shots, some just took longer to seize. What did you think of Sarah and Ryan's fight for the truth? Did Sarah make the right call, leaving her perfect life? Should David have fought harder for her? Or was letting go his redemption? Drop your thoughts in the comments, let's hear your take.